Alright, it's Henry again, and this is the second work in progress video for my 1 to 100 scale Mercurius and Vayeate kits. And this week I've started with the scratch building, getting some of the weapons and some of the body work done. And also I've got a few new things that I didn't mention last week, because I already had enough to show off last week. But some new stuff I want to tell you about as far as the main bodies of the two kits are concerned. Anyway, I'm going to start off with the stuff here I've scratch built. This right here is a disc of epoxy putty, and this is going to be Mercurius's crash shield. In fact, let me bring the 1 to 144 scale kits over here for a comparison. So here is the crash shield right here, 1 to 144 scale, the 1 to 100 scale one there, and it's remarkably simple. It's just a round shield with some little protrusions on it, and I'll just drill out some holes on here, and I'm not sure how I'll make those, either epoxy putty or plow plate, one of the two, and add those onto there, scribe some panel lines on it. And the back I'll scribe on some detail and then add a handle, and that'll be pretty much it. Really simple. Now, I also am planning to make a beam effect part for it. And this is also epoxy putty. I just kind of made a rough shape of the beam effect part that I wanted. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to be going in with my X-Acto knife and just carving in detail. I've just kind of penciled it in right here and just making it look like, you know, a beam effect part is supposed to look like. I'll probably be refining the shape of the outer edge a little bit as well. And rather than just using this and then painting it to use in the crash shield, I'm going to take this and then make a mold of it and then recast it in clear resin. And I think that'll look quite a bit nicer than just having a solid beam effect part like this that's, you know, just a chunk of epoxy putty. So that's my plans for the crash shield. Put that to the side. Now this over here, or these two parts rather, are the beginnings of Vayeate's backpack. Now this is again epoxy putty, and originally I'd made I'd made the two halves separately and then had a piece of plow plate between them, because I figured if I had the plow plate between the two halves that I would be able to kind of pry them apart after the epoxy putty cured, because epoxy putty, at least Milliput epoxy putty, the brand that I use, doesn't really stick all that well to you know, other objects, especially after it's cured, so I figured I'd be able to pry them apart. Well, of course, I'd be wrong, so I actually take a hacksaw and saw the two halves apart to get them apart. But the end result is more or less the same. As you can see here, if you're wondering why that's different colors, I used the last bit of my yellow epoxy putty and then just put the white on top of it, so it's all just one solid piece, two different colors. This is the back side. This is the side that's going to be going up against the back of the torso there. And I'm going to leave this solid, and I'm going to make the reactor out of either putty or plow plate or something and put it on there. And this back half, as you can see, I've already started hollowing it out. My Dremel battery ran out because it was so much work trying to grind all that out. Anyway, this is going to be completely hollow, kind of like the hatch that I did on my Virgo 2's backpack. And then, when it's all said and done, it'll have the reactor inside, I'll have a hinge on it, and it'll be able to open up. And in fact, again, here's the 1 to 144 scale Vayeate, and as you can see, I'll pretty much just be copying this exact same thing, only in 1 to 100 scale. And I'll even have the little bar up here on the top. I'll probably make that out of a thick piece of wire. Okay, so that is the beginnings of Vayeate's backpack. I'm sure that'll be much further along when I do next week's work in progress video. Now, before I discuss this torso over here, I do want to show you Mercurius's planet defensors. Now, a lot of people, when I was doing the Virgo and Virgo 2, said, oh, you should use magnets for to put the planet defensors into the shoulder armor. And while I could have used magnets, it really wasn't all that necessary, seeing as how the planet defensors kind of just stuck in there. They didn't really move around very much. But Mercurius, his planet defensors, as you can see, are nicely just kind of floating there on his back, attached to each other, not really connected to the body except for by this little arm right here. So I did decide to use magnets for Mercurius's planet defensors, because honestly it was either magnets or use little metal pins to connect them together, and metal pins, just that would have been a nightmare, especially taking them all apart to put them onto the little energy shield, which I'll be making for Mercurius. That would have been way more trouble than it was worth, so I decided to use magnets for Mercurius. And here they are. These are the smallest magnets I've ever seen in my life. Let me zoom in on these. Now this is not 2 magnets. Come on, camera, please zoom in on it. This is not 2 magnets. This is 100 magnets, all stacked up end to end. They are 1 millimeter thick by 2 millimeters in diameter. Very, very small magnets, but they are neodymium rare earth magnets, so they are very, very strong. Modelers use them in model building all the time, especially for like small scale stuff like Warhammer stuff. A lot of times they'll use magnets. And despite being so small, they are actually quite strong. I think the way I'm going to end up doing is I'm going to end up putting 2 magnets in each planet defensor, and they connect together just like so. Easy as that. And they aren't quite as strong as I thought they were going to be. They are a little bit wobbly, as you can see. But I think if I just double them up and put 2 magnets in there, God knows I have enough of them. I bought 100 magnets. I think that should make them plenty strong enough. It's falling off a little bit, but if you don't mess around with it, it'll stay in place. But like I said, if I double those up and put 2 magnets in each hole rather than just 1, I think they'll be plenty strong enough to hold this configuration on Mercurius's back. So one last thing I do want to go over is a point of articulation that I didn't cover in last week's video. Last week I talked about how I wanted to tackle the posability issues that my Virgo and Virgo 2 had and improve them for Mercurius and Vayeate. Well, I showed you the new knee and elbow joints and the hip joints. Well, I'm also doing new shoulder joints. Here's the, I've been working on the upper torso. Lower torso is the same, but as you can see, I'm making a new cockpit hatch here out of epoxy putty. Still got a bit of work to do on it. But the side parts, I'm going to make the little vents down there. They still need some work, but I've cut out holes in the side here and inserted these. Let's see, do I still have the package? Yeah. These are Kotobukiya, no, not Kotobukiya, I'm sorry. Yellow Submarine roll swing joints. Got these off of Hobby Link Japan, but you can also get them from places like also $19.99 was a Hobby Search. That's it, Hobby Search. And just other online hobby places. Hobby Mate has them as well. eBay if you're really desperate and can't find them. And what it is basically the same kind of shoulder joint that Bandai's been using on all their high grades lately. That joint where the whole joint can move forward like so, and actually comes out from the torso like that. This is pretty much what I've added now, given it's really rough looking right now, but I think you guys know that it'll look better once the model kit's actually finished. But that's how it's going to work. It's pretty much flat on this side, and I'll just be pinning and gluing all that in place, and you know, standard position there, and then the shoulder will be able to move forward like that. And it's on a ball joint, so it also has a little bit of up and down movement as well. And for Mercurius, honestly, it's not going to be all that beneficial, because other than his crash shield and his little beam gun, he doesn't do too much with his arms. He pretty much just fights with his planet defensors. However, for Vayeate, holding this enormous beam cannon with 2 hands, these roll swing joints for the shoulders are really, really going to come in handy. In fact, I think they're going to be necessary for him to be able to hold that beam cannon with 2 hands. So those are definitely going to come in handy for Mercurius and Vayeate. Well, I think that is just about everything I've got to show you for this week. I'll be working on more of the scratch building. Going to be working on the backpack, the crash shield, and that upper torso. I'm going to start on the head this week. I don't think I'm going to base the head off of Virgo's head. I think I'm going to make the head completely from scratch. And just everything else. I'll just be working on the kit. So, that about does it for this video, and with that, I'll see you guys next time.